Election Day, USA. I'm Brian Lilly with Rebel.media. The campaign has literally been going on for nearly 2 years between the primaries, the general election, the nonstop campaigning ahead of all that. And it all comes down to this: how Americans cast their ballots today. What does it mean for America, for the world, and well, for those of us in the Great White North, what does it mean for Canada specifically? Well, first off, given the mocking, the ridicule, the nonstop barrage of negative stories on Republican candidate Donald Trump and the defense played by the media for Democrat candidate Hillary Clinton, I think that Clinton was onto something when she asked this question a few weeks back.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Yeah, I'd say that's a very valid question. Why isn't she up 50 points? Everything in the world has been thrown out at Donald Trump, and yet it's still a tight race. Instead of Clinton leading in the polls by double digits, as some claimed a few weeks ago, instead of her spending time campaigning in solid Republican states to expand her win, Clinton is tied in some polls, behind in others, leading in some. It's anyone's race still, and she spent the last few weeks in battleground states like North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida, states that if she were as popular with the people as she were with the media and the establishment, then they would be all sewn up. But here's a key fact on why Donald Trump is still a contender in this race. Not many Americans actually like Hillary Clinton. Polls have shown time and again that this race, a large proportion of Clinton and Trump's supporters are actually voting for their preferred candidate more to stop the other guy than to support the candidate they'll cast a ballot for. If Hillary Clinton does win tonight, then let me just point out to all of those smug Clinton supporters that you could not easily beat a man that you have portrayed with ample support from the media as a buffoon, a sexist, a racist, a tax cheat, an idiot, a business failure, and more. And he might still win. And that should tell you something about Hillary Clinton. But what if she does win? What does that mean for Canada? What if Trump wins? What does that mean for Canada? Let's start with Clinton. Canadians mistakenly love Democrats, and they think their values are our values. Not quite. On the biggest issue between Canada and the US, regardless of year, regardless of the race, trade, well, the last 8 years have not been great for Canada. Barack Obama, a Democrat, much beloved in the Great White North, came to office with a massive stimulus plan that would see billions spent on US infrastructure, but Canadian firms barred from competing for those projects or supplying to them under his Buy America program. For all the worry about Trump on NAFTA, it's Democrats that have caused Canada huge headaches over the years on issues such as steel exports or softwood lumber, where Democratic Senator and former Klansman Robert Byrd pushed to block Canadian wood and wood products from the U.S. market. Now, Canada eventually won that argument after many years, but not before thousands of jobs were lost, billions of economic activity dried up. Oh, and the softwood lumber issue? It's back since the old agreement has run out. And so far, despite the Trudeau Liberals pointing to their great relationship with the White House and Washington in general, nothing's happened. So if Clinton wins, what can we expect on that front? Well, a lot of chummy photo ops with Trudeau and company, but not much will actually happen. Unlike her husband, Hillary has become a trade opponent, and that could spill over into trade with Canada, not just her opposition to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Canada signed on to. According to Statistics Canada, this country exported $525 billion worth of goods in 2015. $397 billion worth of that went to the United States. And on one of Canada's biggest exports to the U.S., oil, Hillary Clinton was in favor of Keystone XL before she was against it based on political considerations. Don't expect Hillary to give Canada favors. On foreign policy, Clinton is a bit of a hawk. That could mean more foreign conflicts, which NATO members such as Canada would be asked to partake in. Remember, it was Hillary Clinton who was at the State Department while she encouraged the ill-fated Arab Spring, the one that saw the Muslim Brotherhood overtake Egypt before a military coup replaced them, the one that destabilized Syria, leading to the civil war, the rise of ISIS. And of course, it was Clinton that personally pushed for the Libya mission that saw it move from protecting civilians to overthrowing Gaddafi. The Libyan dictator was not a nice man, but who's ruling Libya now? Is it better off or worse off? The answer is it's in chaos. That is Hillary Clinton's foreign policy. Now, what if Trump wins? What can we expect there? Well, we can expect a lot of lefty Democrats to threaten to move to Canada without really doing it. But don't worry, our Canadian media will fawn all over them. They'll run lots of sympathetic stories. But what about on the trade front, the all-important issue for Canada? We've heard Trump say he would rip up NAFTA. Yeah, he thinks it's a bad deal. But in all that rhetoric, have you ever heard him complaining about a job leaving to go to Canada? About plants moving to Canada instead of the States? No. His concern is Mexico. Canada and the US are equal trading partners with similar systems of government. We respect the rule of law. We have similar labor and environmental standards that all companies are required to live up to. You can't say that with Mexico. Trump wants to redo NAFTA because of Mexico, not because of Canada. And while we export $397 billion worth of goods to the Americans, we import $363 billion worth of goods. He won't mess with that. We can expect colder relations between Trudeau and his Liberals and Trump as compared to Clinton, even though Trudeau said repeatedly he'll work with whoever is actually elected.
I'm going to have faith in the American political process and reassure Canadians that I will work with whomever gets elected.
Now, while he said that, Trudeau's still taking lots of shots at Trump, so have his people, so expect a cold business-like relationship at best. On foreign policy, Trump may demand that NATO partners actually live up to their promise to spend 2% of GDP on defense. Canada currently spends about half of that. But I don't expect he would go around starting more wars. He just might finish the one against ISIS with a real show of strength. Beyond that, much of the relationship between Canada and the US would go on, regardless of who wins. The ties that bind Canada to the US go deeper than who lives in the White House. They come down to family connections, personal connections, regional connections, and all of that runs far deeper than any one politician. If you like what you just saw, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's easy. It's right here. Just click subscribe. Or if you want to really make a difference, you can head on over to the rebel.media. Join the cool kids, the thousands of great Canadians that have already signed on to become members. And then you can access premium content you won't get anywhere else.